So this is rolling. I don't have to hit record?
You're already recording right now.
Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're probably just going to talk about G.I. Joe Classified more than anything else. That way we're not, overlapping with as much stuff you did on the panel, which was really great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
That was a fun panel. It's great hearing from you. Hey, welcome back to Mike Seibert Radio. I am your host. Well, recently I was invited to hang out at the Northwest Nerd Podcast Lounge at Renton City Retro, which was held August 6th and 7th at the Renton Pavilion Center in downtown Renton. That's about 20 miles, no, not quite 20 miles, more like 15 miles south east of Seattle, give or take. Anyway, they had toys, comics, Funko Pops, video games, local artists, anime, celebrity guests, and so much more. It's the largest gamers expo south of Seattle. They are also a 501c3 nonprofit who brings gaming education, fun, and entertainment to the South Sound and provides a space for people in the area to share their love of video games, toys, and any other geeky pop related things. I had never actually been to the Renton Pavilion Event Center, and I had never been to Renton City Retro before, so this was a whole new experience for me. But it's a lovely venue. If you were on my Facebook on Saturday, I did a walkthrough video, did a Facebook Live where I kind of went through the show floor, and I did that like when I first walked in, got my wristband, and then just kind of did like a whole lap around the venue and the show floor, so you could see that for yourself. But I really like that the venue is so open and has an organic feel to it. A lot of places I've been to for conventions in the past feel sterile, antiseptic, almost like hospitals in a way, we've all been to, hotel lobby ballrooms and, convention centers. But this place, had tons of open windows, lots of natural light. You could see greenery and the nice trees and stuff from outside. Very Pacific Northwest, as well as exposed natural wood roofing. That's just a real warm feeling. It for those of you here in the Pacific Northwest, it reminds me of the roof inside the Tacoma Dome, just all that exposed wood, to where it's there's a reason why there's no smoking in there, because I would imagine a spark would just send the whole thing aflame. But anyway, it's just such a nice venue, and it's no wonder that they have weddings and events there. It's kind of like one of those multi-purpose pavilions. So anyway, a few weeks ago, I was interviewed by a buddy of mine named Dyer Oxley of KUOW Radio for his Today So Far blog about the re-emerging of the geek economy here in the Pacific Northwest. It's the geeky economy. You see, it's the geek economy. It's his phrasing. He loves it. It's awesome. But anyway, he talked to me for his blog ahead of Seibfest Northwest. Now, he also spoke to a cat named Emilio Morales, founder of Renton City Retro, for that piece as well. But that's his day job. Dyer is also the host of the Northwest Nerd Podcast. And while we were chatting about Seibfest, and we were talking about, the feeling of fans here in the Pacific Northwest as conventions return, as we return to something resembling a normalcy. he invited me to come hang out and share the space he was going to have at Renton City Retro, which he referred to as a podcaster's lounge. And he told me about it, and he said he was going to have like an inflatable couch, and I thought he was exaggerating when he called it a lounge, but in actuality, when he shared me some pictures and I rolled in, it was actually a really neat, funky, cool hangout spot. You know, he had the inflatable couch. It was kind of like this L shape, perfect for sitting in a corner, set up with microphones off to opposite ends of the couch for really good social distancing, as well as a nice vintage coffee table handmade by Dyer's dad back in the day. Really cool. And they had copies of the brand new Northwest Nerd magazine as well. That was available for attendees of Renton City Retro, that convention. I'm actually going to talk a little bit later about the Northwest News magazine, but I was originally thinking that going into this, because this isn't the first time I've hung around with my dude Dyer Oxley at a convention in Renton, ironically enough, in a podcaster's area. So I guess for me, what I was imagining is that me and Dyer were just going to hang out together, maybe cast some pods, do a lot of hanging out. He's a cool dude. I like talking with him, and I figured at the very least we would each get an episode of our respective podcasts of material to use. But then I took a closer look at the guest list for folks to potentially interview, and a name caught my eye that might be familiar to Transformers fans, Randall Ng. Now, Randall Ng is a veteran video game artist and animator. He's been at it for over 20 years, and he's worked on video games like Halo 4, Halo 5, and Justice League Heroes. But he also happens to be local to the Seattle area, which I didn't know until I chatted with him on that Saturday. But he is also well known to the fandom on YouTube, where his video Gangnam Style, featuring the Transformers, has reached, as of this recording, over 99 million views. That's almost 1 billion with a B, 1 billion views. Randall Ng and DR.SMOOV created an ongoing series of comedy skits called Energon O's, showcasing what if Transformers were relegated to selling awful cereal. His fan video collaboration with DR.SMOOV, called Transformers Generation 1, won first place at BotCon 2009, the film festival there, and was also included as a bonus feature on the Shout Factory Complete DVD series release of the Transformers Generation 1 cartoon. Randall Ng also collaborated with musician Stan Bush to create music videos featuring Transformers for his songs Your Time and Thunder in Your Heart. Randall has appeared at several conventions around the country and hosted many panels expanding on his career as an artist, father, costume builder, and filmmaker. And after hosting a panel about his career in digital animation, he joined me on the inflatable couch in the Northwest Nerd Podcast Lounge for an interview, and we had a terrific conversation about his history with Transformers, as well as a sneak preview of a brand new Transformers Generation 1 movie that he's working on. But before I share that interview, I thought I would set the mood by playing for you the first couple Energon O's skits. We talk about those videos pretty extensively, so I thought the context here would be helpful. So kind of listen to listen to the video. That doesn't make any sense, but listen to the audio and the vocal performances in the videos I'm about to play for you, and because we talk about it later, and the context will help. And stick around later, because later in the show I'm going to talk about the brand new Northwest Nerd magazine and where you can get it, and as well as a preview of my next episode featuring my interview with fan artist Ashley Artley. You're listening to Mike Seibert Radio.
Alright, so, what's my line? Oh, okay. I start every Earth morning with a healthy bowl of Energon O's. Energon O's is part of a complete breakfast with all the essential vitamins and minerals that Earth children need. And every box of Energon O's has a free prize inside. Look, it's a Cosmotron. Right, a Cosmotron. Whatever the hell that is. So go ahead, moms, and pick up a box of Energon O's cereal. The best cereal on Cybertron. And your planet, too. How's that?
Okay, that's good, Optimus Prime. Now take a bite of the cereal.
How am I gonna take a bite without a mouth?
Art department!
Alright, so, what's my line? What's my line again? Oh, okay. I start every morning with a bite of Energon O's. How am I supposed to eat without a mouth?
Never fear. Optimus Prime is here.
Flames? You gotta be kidding me. This is a bad idea.
Nah, come on. I'll show you how it's done. Watch this.
Fine.
Okay, ready and action!
I'm Optimus Prime.
And I'm Wheeljack, the Autobot's brilliant and talented mechanical engineer.
Vector Sigma.
And we're here to tell you about this totally awesome new cereal called Energon O's. I tell you, this cereal is so tasty, you're gonna love it. Mmm. Now that's delicious. Tastes so good. Yum.
What are you doing?
I'm eating the cereal. Tastes good. That's some good stuff right there. That's some good cereal.
But you're not really eating it.
I'm pretending to eat it. It's called acting.
It's still on the spoon. You can see it.
They can edit that stuff out. Haven't you ever heard of movie magic?
You're an idiot.
I'm just trying to help you out.
Yeah, well, I didn't ask, so...
Do it yourself, then. And don't ask me for any help next time you need someone to build some new Dinobots for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I hope the Constructicons kick your...
Maybe if you knew how to build a robot with a functional brain, we'd have a chance.
What'd you say?
Simple brains, Wheeljack.
You are never gonna let me live that down, are you?
Hey, let's make the Dinobots stupid like real dinosaurs were. I'm Wheeljack. I make stupid robots.
Why, you... Come here.
Get off of me. Get off. Take me, huh? Stop.
Oh, my transistors.
Okay, cut. We can't use any of that.
I told you that was a bad idea.
Okay, Mr. Megatron, just relax. You're gonna do great.
Of course I am.
All right. So the product is called Energon O's.
They're not even O's. They're miniature Energon cubules.
Yeah. So when I say action, you're gonna say your lines, and then you're gonna take
Don't tell me what to do, fleshling. Megatron takes orders from no one.
Okay, sure. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Megatron.
Watch me put Prime's performance to shame, Starscream. Hello, miserable people of Earth. I am Megatron. And just as much as I crave ultimate power, I crave Energon O's cereal. And unlike that pathetic excuse for a robot Optimus Prime, I have a mouth. And I can eat this wretched Earth feed just like this. Watch.
What's wrong, mighty Megatron?
Tastes like This isn't even real Energon.
Welcome to Hollywood, Megatron.
Shut up.
I think that was, good, Mr. Megatron. Can we, try it again for safety?
Fine.
Okay, great. Now, let's just reset that box if we could, and Mr. Megatron, can we get rid of your arm gun thingy?
My fusion cannon?
Yeah, it's really getting in the way.
You're getting in the way, you obnoxious biological parasite.
Oh my god! No, I'm sorry!
Destroy them all, Megatron.
Greetings, Earth germs. I am Megatron, to buy my Megatronos.
You're brilliant, Megatron.
Yes.
So, wow, I don't even know where to start. It's interesting when I was talking to folks about being excited to chat with you, and it was like, oh yeah, he does all the Halo stuff and all the 3D animations and all that other stuff. And I was like, yeah, but Energonos though, and I get these looks from folks. So I guess first of all, for me, I'm a lifelong Transformers fan, so that's my connection to your work, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a lot. But for somebody that's listening to a Transformers adjacent podcast that only knows your work from those old BotCon videos and the Energonos and the stuff that you did with DR.SMOOV, could you talk about who Randall is and what you do in the scene?
All right. Yeah, Transformers was it was just mind blowing when it first came out, right? And one of the things that I would do, sitting in the back of my parents' car as they're driving, as soon as we saw a semi truck. Like, oh my gosh, that would be like Optimus Prime. Even though it's like, I wish that thing was red. It's like, I want to see a red one.
It didn't matter. It was just a truck.
It's like, it's like, oh my gosh. Then your head's like, that thing should transform like this, and your imagination just goes crazy, right? Mm-hmm. And then, collecting toys back then is kind of different than the way it is now. You got people that are snatching exclusives up, not giving normal people a chance to get them sometimes. And but yeah, back then it was a really innocent time of just like, what's my favorite character? Can I get him in the store? There's a joy of going to the store and trying to find him. So, and I still have some of my original Transformers too. So
nice.
Just the cartoon, the comic books, the toys. It's just a whole package deal with Transformers. So I've had a very very close to my heart kind of thing with the franchise.
Nice. So a question that somebody asked when I was telling my audience that I was coming here to do an interview with you, they asked, it's like, okay, well, yeah, those videos were great. Does he do anything in modern fandom? Do you keep up with current Transformers? Are you part of the scene at all?
Like on and off. If it appeals to me, I'll watch it. If I don't care for it, it's just like every other piece of media out there, right? Every other franchise out there has its, they branch off, right? So, and if you like it, you like it. You don't like it, you don't like it. And I think that it's fine for people to have different opinions about it. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing specific. I don't keep track of everything. If it appeals to me, I'll watch it. If it doesn't, I don't.
Fair enough. How about the toys?
The toys, basically, if they, again, it goes back to if they appeal to me.
Yeah.
And there are certain characters that I love, but sometimes I don't think I like the toy. Like I'll find something that came out more recently. It's like, I think the iteration before that was better than this, so I think I'm good. Right? But I'm not going to go out and buy every iteration of my favorite character because I have to.
Yeah.
I'm being a lot more economical now because, well, not only just because of my, shelf space, right? But I'm also, because I'm a dad now, and my son likes his Gundams and his Transformers, and it's like, now I'm collecting for two, sort of.
Right.
So it's like, so we're being picky. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if I think it's an amazing transformation in both modes, right? It has to be both. Mm-hmm. It's not, the vehicle is a given.
Right.
Make this vehicle in a clever way to work as a robot, then I'm happy. I think something I'll be honest about, I'm not a fan of the cheats that they're doing, where it's like you'll flip it open and there's an entirely different chest inside, which is probably aesthetically more pleasing, but it kind of takes away the creativity of turning the vehicle into...
Right.
It might not look as good, of course, right? But there was a purity about it. And if I'm going to pay for something like a masterpiece, I want it to be engineered in such a way that it's like, wow, that they figured out a way to make that move over here and still look good, rather than the hot swap. Like, and then you still have this thing, now it's hidden in the back. I've got 2 sets of windshields or something like that. You know,
2 grills.
Exactly, that kind of thing.
Yeah, or like how a Hot Rod has 2 chests, that kind of thing. So no faux parts.
Right.
Basically. So folks that aren't Transformers fans know most of your work through the Halo games. Could you talk about some of the work that you've done in video games and specifically with Halo?
Okay, well, I moved up to Washington to work on Justice League Heroes, right? So,
right.
I was a Batman fan, DC Comics. I mean, for probably my 2 top when I was growing up were like Superman and Spider-Man were like big for me back in, when I was younger. Then of course the Batman series came out, well, not came out, I was already born after it came out. I was made aware of its existence later on. But I used to watch like the George Reeves Superman and stuff like that, and that's what I had access to. So anyway, getting back on track, working on Justice League Heroes was a huge thing for me. And that's what got me to Washington, and that's how I wound up working on Halo eventually, which I wasn't planning on.
Yeah.
I don't regret it, but it was just one of those things like, where is your life going to lead you? I didn't know, and I had played, Halo when it first came out. My wife actually like peeked in. She's like, is that fun? I go, yeah, it's fun. You want to play? And then she got hooked, right? So then we're cool. There's this funny thing where we'd be playing online matches, and then somebody would snipe me.
Yeah.
Right? But she wasn't good with the sniper rifle, and she was like, "Oh, here and then I respawn." And she goes, "Okay, I'm gonna hand you the sniper rifle, and I'm gonna run out as bait. And then you go pick that guy off, right?" So yeah, she would run around, zigzag and all that kind of stuff, and then, then I'd see the trail, and I'd take the sniper out. We'd high five each other, that kind of goofy stuff. Anyway, so years later, and now like, honey, I'm working on Halo now. Halo 4, actually, as a gameplay animator. So I had a very specific role that I was not working on cinematics, and that's kind of an interesting thing, because when you're with a smaller company, as I was saying earlier, you might wear many hats. You might do modeling, you might do animation, and on Justice League Heroes I actually did a little bit of like game tuning with the boss battles and things like that. But when you're working for a bigger company, when you're hired for a specific role, that's all you do.
Yeah.
So, after working on Halo 4, I stayed with the company. Right. And then I moved on to doing some video editing. And then eventually wound up taking care of the art assets for different partners. So if they want to make a statue, I would gather up the packet for them. And then eventually became the product development manager for the costumes. And what I didn't get around to talking about earlier was I actually made cosplay for my son as Master Chief.
I was going to ask you about that because I was going to segue and say, well, Halo has become a family affair for you.
Right.
So let's talk about the little chief.
Yeah. So the mini chief would run around. Well, basically what happened is I thought it'd be fun to make a Master Chief costume for him, based on the Halo 4 design. Yeah. And I came to the studio with him. And then we actually did take a studio pic with him out in the parking lot back in the old building. And that's a really cherished memory. It's a really cute picture. Everybody's like surrounding him. We all went. Yeah. They literally got the company outside to take pictures together, and he was like in the middle, which is great. And then one of the animators was a photographer. He put it up on his site, and then some other website grabbed the image, and he became a meme for the haters gonna hate. I don't know. Have you seen that image?
I remember that. Yeah. I remember that.
So so he became his own little thing, and then and even before that, going back to Transformers, I made him an Optimus Prime costume, and we actually met Peter Cullen with him dressed as Optimus Prime, and Mr. Cullen is just such a warm and wonderful person. I mean, he took my son's hands, and just talked to him right to into the Optimus Prime face, and said just such wonderful, sweet things to him, like, oh, you're so amazing, and just and then the cute thing was my son said to me, because you couldn't see my face in the mask, but I was smiling, Daddy.
Oh,
and I was just like, oh my God, this is why we do this. You know,
absolutely.
They pass it down, and his love of Transformers also is another thing that kept me making more videos, like funny videos.
Right.
Like they said, the Energon-O's thing, which was a 1-off, 2-off thing. We're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
And it became one of our well-known things. Yeah.
Well, and it's one of those things that's kind of lingered in the fandom. So it's like late last night, I shared the compilation video on DR.SMOOV's YouTube, or maybe it was your YouTube. I don't remember which, but it was the 10-minute version where it's all the videos edited together. And I got so many comments from like, oh man, I remember that. I haven't watched that in so long, and it's cool that it's just this fun touchstone that folks can come back to and reconnect with their nostalgia. But one thing that you said earlier I wanted to stick on for a little bit is, I had some conversations with folks earlier about sharing fandom with their kids. And I talked to a guy earlier who his memories of playing Final Fantasy VII is on a 9-inch black and white camping TV. So he said his nostalgia glasses are in black and white. And so he got Final Fantasy Remake, the new one, played it on the biggest TV he could find with his kids. And he talked to me about this experience about, his nostalgia colliding with their experience and how they're connecting with the story and engaging with those characters, but from like a completely different angle and a completely different way. And I think that's one of the things that folks my age kind of forget about sometimes, because we're like, I want mine, give me mine. And it's like, this fandom stuff isn't just for us. It's something that needs to change and evolve, and something that we can hand down to the next generation and engage with other people about. I love chatting with younger people about their experiences with Transformers and fandom and all of this other stuff. Like I've talked to folks half my age that love Transformers the movie as much as I do, and I was like, oh, we have like this common experience despite going across generations. It's very, very interesting. So I wanted to ask you as we were closing out, because I'm a sucker for a origin story. How did those videos come? What's the origin story of like the Gundam style video, which has, I don't know what 600 million views on it, or
99 million,
something like that. It's just insane. And I remember, because I was watching the videos last night. Again, I hadn't watched them for a while. I had forgotten that so many of the characters are in the Alternators Vinyl Tech.
Right, yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of both of those lines. And so, like, when Wheeljack comes out, he's like, "It's a Cosmotron." And I was like, yes, because I love that Mustang. I'm a stand for Mustang Wheeljack. I'm kind of by myself there sometimes, but I'm getting ahead of myself. For folks that don't know the story or may have forgotten, how did any of that stuff even come to be?
Well, it's like, I love G1, right? Because not only did I just grow up with it, I think that there's something that's very magical about it. And then my son, I let him watch it, and he was just glued to the TV, right? Like, oh, this is, I would see that magic for him too. And then sometimes his friends would come over, and they were like young, right?
Yeah.
So they see what they see, they like what they like, and then they were, I don't know, like 6-7 years old or something like that, and then those kids' parents would say, "What is that? My kids really like it." They just gravitated towards it because there was something that was very, I would say, pure about it, right? So for me, I always wanted more G1.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of dry during that time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's different now.
Yeah, isn't it crazy to consider that moment in time where, the best representation of G1 was the little Takara SCF figures, that kind of stuff. It's like that was the best representation of G1 in the 2000s.
So this was back in the time when YouTube was still pretty young, and it was its own thing. It wasn't owned by any other corporation or anything yet. So then I was like, oh, you can post your videos here. I think I'm going to do like a Prowl versus Soundwave or something, because I'm a 3D artist. I'm going to make my own G1. If they're not going to make G1, I'm going to make my own. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what happened. They're like, oh, I'm going to do an Optimus Prime versus Megatron, right? Oh, okay, then that was kind of it.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, then I start to see some DR.SMOOV videos, along the way. And sometime before or after, I don't know, somewhere during there, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is not them, because this guy sounds exactly like them.
Yeah.
It's uncanny, right? So then I contacted him. I was like, would you be interested in maybe voicing Optimus and Megatron in that? And I showed him I sent him the video.
Yeah, yeah.
But this time with sound, right? With voices. It had sound before, but there were no voices. I said, would you be interested? He goes, oh, I've seen that one. I go, what? No, I don't know. I still, you're just being nice. Maybe you'd seen it, maybe you didn't. But he goes, yeah, sure. What lines do you need? So I told him, and then so I expanded that, right? And then that started picking up. All of a sudden, it's like, now it's as G1 as we haven't seen it before in actual, 3D. I mean, of course they had the Beast Wars, but that was barely a cameo, right? And I think they weren't even moving, from what I recall.
Yeah, because dead Optimus Prime is just kind of slumped in the chair there,
right?
and same with Megatron. They're just
but we haven't seen
they're in stasis lock,
right?
I guess
We haven't seen G1 in motion in 3D at that time, of course. So that's kind of what I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm gonna do this, and then the numbers started going up, and then it was interesting though, because back then, if you typed in Megatron versus Optimus Prime, something like that, it was within the first top 10 search results. Not anymore, because there's so many of them now. But so that's kind of what happened. I started to team up with DR.SMOOV, and he would just keep providing voices, and then I'd say I got this really stupid idea. This Energon O's, and they're not even O's. They're like these Energon cubes. And what do you think? Goes, that sounds dumb enough to do, so let's do it, And so it's interesting though, because this take 2 of Energon O's is actually the first draft.
Oh, okay.
And then he did a rewrite, and he expanded it, and then that became take 1. It's like, so we're going to abandon this, we're going to do both. Let's just do both.
Yeah.
Right, so okay, take 1, take 2, okay, we're done. They're like, what would be funny? And then we just kept having these conversations, and he's like, DR.SMOOV is like, he's a rarity. He's really amazing, but he's really humble, and he rarely makes any public appearances at all. But yeah, he's really talented. Like I said, really humble. Yeah. He's got a lot of ideas, really funny, and great to talk to. And we just bounce ideas off of each other. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of kept going. And it's like, we're done with Energanos. It's gonna die. It's just like, let's not keep doing it.
Right.
And then like, oh, but I've got this idea. What if then Megatron comes in? Then all that stuff.
They're not even O's.
Yeah, and he flicks it. And basically, so did the director die? But what you'll notice is there's a transition where the director has a British accent all of a sudden.
Yes.
We kind of imply that something happened to the other director. We don't say what, but it's not the same guy.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. So, how do you get connected with Stan Bush then?
Stan Bush, that was it's been kind of this whole thing where I don't even remember what we do, right? And when somebody brings up Energanos, like, oh, you watched that? Like, for me, I'm too close to it. It's just this video I just do at night, and just like, whatever, haha. Published it, and I just walk away, and I don't think about it anymore. And actually, I don't even watch the videos. I can't stand watching Gangnam Transformers because I'm so tired of it.
Yeah.
I worked on it for hours and hours and weeks, and it's like, okay, all I do is I just look. I go, oh, the views keep going up. Who's still watching this? I don't know why.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
Well, I think with artists doing art, there's a certain point where you just give it over to the audience, and you as the creator kind of stop engaging with it, and it's not really yours anymore. It belongs to the audience.
Right.
And, you know, I've talked to a lot of creators that have that same, I don't know if it's an aspect of imposter syndrome or whatever, but like that, you like that? You really like that? Okay. And I think we lose track of the personal investment that we put into our art. And yeah, once it's an assignment that's done. It's something that's turned in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, I don't watch my own movies or, you know, or videos or podcasts or whatever. That's pretty common actually. But the thing I wanted to ask you about was, we were going to talk about Stan Bush a little bit, and maybe even doing official work with on the I forget if it was the Blu-ray or the DVD. I think it was the Blu-ray.
It's the Blu-ray.
It's the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
That's the 30th anniversary. Oh, Shout Factory. Duh.
Yes,
I knew that. Because like, you know, it's. The other stuff, your earlier stuff is, you know, independent and all that, but you know, once you start getting in with BotCon and then later on with doing the Blu-ray and the Stan Bush stuff, that's actual official stuff.
Right.
How you know, is there any kind of anxiety that went into that? You know, aside from just doing goofy Gundam style videos or, you know, John O's or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously I put a little more effort into it. I'm a little more careful, right? Now it's official. Sure. With Stan Bush, it was I don't recall exactly how it happened. I think I might have emailed him and sent him a sample of it, and it's like, I believe it was possibly asking for permission to use one of his songs.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
And then he said, why don't we just do a music video or something like something?
Sure.
I mean, I don't want to quote exactly.
Yeah, sands of time and all that.
Yeah, you know, it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, okay, so then we did that. Your Time was our first video.
Yeah.
And then it seemed to really hit a chord with the fans. And then... and again, it was bringing G1 into 3D. Before, I mean, now it's like G1's 3D, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it was during that time where it was almost, you could almost say maybe proof of concept. Is G1 still relevant?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then even getting in contact with Dan Gilvezan, who's the voice of Bumblebee, it's like, you know what? Bumblebee needs to talk. I have a Bumblebee model with a mouth.
Yeah.
And I want him to talk with Bumblebee's voice. And then, you know, he's like, I'm writing a book. I don't know if you read it.
I haven't, yeah.
Bumblebee and Me, and it's like, it's like, so let's have Bumblebee promote your book with your voice. And that was another one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, like, wait a minute, I'm actually talking with Bumblebee, like real Bumblebee.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, we made that video, and then Stan Bush, I was like, okay, I can't really believe this is happening. It's still kind of surreal, you know, and then we made, I think, 2 more videos, music videos for Stan Bush,
right?
And you know, is usually with, I've got a new album coming out, let's like find an appropriate song, you know, and then it's like if we needed extra characters or extra models made, then that would happen. If not, then just. But the thing I always wanted to do with the videos with him was try to have a story or try to have a narrative with it, right? Not just, you know, random Transformers doing random things. And then more recently, I'm playing with technology and realizing that the Unreal Engine has been like speeding the process up and even giving me better results.
Yeah. So
renders that would have taken me hours, maybe overnight, would just be like a few, you know, like sometimes like within an hour, I would have like these like just the processing speed of that engine, and just the overall look. Just like it's faster and it's better.
Right.
You know. So then we revisited, what was that, Thunder in Your Heart?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Kind of recently, and it coincidentally coincided with his 10-disc CD collection.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing it anyway. You gotta, you know, let's combine it into something relevant,
right?
Not just some random thing. So of course, then that pushed my timetable. It's like, oh, he's gonna be selling this soon. I better get this done, you know. So yeah, it's always that kind of thing where it just kind of came together.
Absolutely. So we spent a lot of time talking on the past and going down memory lane, but what are you up to currently?
Well, currently I'm working on a Transformers movie, my personal one.
Okay.
Right. So like I was talking about the whole Unreal Engine thing. I've got the whole script in my head. I got it partially written down. I'm still currently, actually, I'm modeling the characters, like the human characters, Spike and Carly. They're coming back, because I haven't really involved any human characters in our videos in the past, because what style do you go with, how should they look like, and things like that. So I did a little bit of modernization with them. So I have this whole thing that I'm working on it, right?
Gotcha.
And I've got this script, and it doesn't necessarily have to follow any type of canon, because it's going to be my the Ng.SMOOV story, with DR.SMOOV, and I'm going to get some other some other people have casually said that they wanted to be involved with it, but it's not funded. It's just, I don't want to put pressure on anybody. And it's a personal project. If I crowdfund it, then there's going to be a certain amount of pressure that goes with it too. So it's like, look, I want to get it done. When it gets done, it gets done.
Sure.
But I'm not going to rush it. I'm still working on creating the 3D assets for it, but since there's no budget, it's just happening when it happens.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Randall Ng, if folks wanted to look for your stuff online and connect with you on social medias, how can we find you on the internet?
Well, I mean, I'm not really that much on social media. I mean, I have it.
Yeah.
But I've got like very few followers. I'm just doing my own thing all the time.
Gotcha.
But I mean, we have like our main website, www.ngsmoov.com, right? Ng.SMOOV.com, and the main thing is like YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So recently we have been doing a little bit more of like model building, branching off and stuff like that, because most of my Transformers efforts are being done behind the scenes. Like I said, we're working on our Ng.SMOOV Transformers CG feature independently, so that means like I'm not going to be working on like goofy stuff, because I'm working on the serious stuff behind the scenes, but I still want the channel to be relevant. And I do think that when we are painting Gundam models and stuff like that, it's content that I think the fandom's into.
Absolutely.
So, and just keep it going, and our lack of Transformers content is behind the scenes. It's not out in the open, but anyway.
That's very exciting. I think a lot of folks will be excited and to hear that there's going to be something new from the Ng.SMOOV folks out there. That's super cool. Randall, before we let you go, and again, you've been very generous with your time. I really appreciate that. Anything else you want to mention or shout out before I let you head back to your table? see if you can sell the last of your toys there.
Yeah. No, I just think that the entire team that worked on the original G1, and I think they did such a fantastic job. It's like magic that what they did. It was really something that we would hold close to our hearts, and I think it goes beyond nostalgia. I think sometimes people say too much about like, oh, you only want like G1 for nostalgia. It's like, well, look at my kid, he's glued to the set. There is something magical about this show. This is not nostalgia. There's no nostalgia for him, at that time.
Right.
This is just pure joy when he watched it, and he's like, can I watch it again? Can we watch the movie today? That kind of stuff, like those kind of things. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, again, Randall Ng, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We greatly appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, man. And I got to tell you, after that interview, we just hung out on the couch, casually talking for, I don't know, almost as long as the interview itself. It was great. It was a great time. Randall's a cool dude, very down to earth, very casual, very easy to talk to. It was so much fun getting to know him and learning about the projects he's working on, and yeah, just really good times. But also, since he's local to the Seattle area, I did float the idea of him potentially coming to Seibert Northwest in the future as a guest, and he seemed pretty receptive to the idea. So stay tuned for more on that as we march toward Seibert Northwest 2023. And speaking of, I'm going to close out the show with a preview of my next episode, my interview with Ashley Artley. But first, let's do some shout-outs. I want to take a minute to thank Dyer Oxley again for inviting me to share that workspace with him at Renton City Retro, the Northwest Nerd Podcast Lounge. Such a fun time. It was terrific. But I also want to let you know about the next evolution of Northwest Nerd, and that's the Northwest Nerd magazine. It's an actual tangible print magazine. In case you didn't know, Dyer is actually a newspaper guy originally, and a print magazine kind of feels like a cool evolution of the various creative pursuits he's been doing for these last few years. In the next episode of the Northwest Nerd Podcast, Dyer is going to delve into this new evolution, and he'll talk about how the magazine came to be, as well as some of the stories behind that. I'm also looking to have him join me on the podcast here on Mike Seibert Radio to talk about that project as well. We were thinking we were going to do that while we were together at Renton City Retro. But I think, honestly, it was because I talked to Randall for so long on the couch that, schedules just didn't line up and we weren't able to make that happen. But anyway, I would love to get him on the live stream or on the podcast to, just kind of talk about the re-emerging geek economy and maybe some of the stuff he's doing for work, as well as the latest with Northwest Nerd and, of course, the brand new Northwest Nerd magazine. So stay tuned for that. But inside issue number 1, you're going to learn about the Jedi Church in Spokane, the cosplay power couple, a pop culture hiking guide, and of course the latest news about the geek economy. I've got the issue in my hands, and it's awesome. Feels great, and it's a slick production too. Glossy paper, all the photos look great. This is an awesome magazine. And you can find Northwest Nerd magazine in various geek hubs around the Pacific Northwest. I know they've got at least a few copies at the Retro Emporium in Kent. And you can check out a preview at the Northwest Nerd website. That's nw-nerd/magazine. And you can keep up with the latest Northwest Nerd news by keeping up on their social channels at NW Nerd on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And on the next episode of Mike Seibert Radio Podcast, my guest is fan artist Ashley Artley. She's a Transformers fan artist, and exclusively to our audience, she revealed a brand new project she's working on with some really cool folks. It's a Transformers fan comic called Thunderclash Goes Bananas, and she showed off the cover she did for one of the issues featuring Skyquake and a troop of gorillas. It's awesome, and you won't want to miss it. We had a blast talking about art and Transformers, and since we did the interview on August 8th, we of course had to talk about the Transformers the movie, celebrating 36 years of my favorite movie. That live stream video is available now on my YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook live channels, so you can see the art on the video as Ashley revealed it, and you can follow Ashley Artley on her social channels to see high-resolution images of that cover as well, but I'll have the audio for you here on the next episode of Mike Seibert Radio Podcast. And that will wrap things up for this episode. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with me. And if you want to listen to all of my past shows, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, or wherever the heck else you listen to your podcasts. And check out my YouTube channel for even more videos. Become a Mike Cybertronian and join the MSRP Friends and Fans Facebook group. And you can find me on social media at Mike Seibert Radio on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Like, share, rate, and review the show. Let us know what you like and what you'd like to hear more of in the future. For my guest, Randall Ng, my name is Mike. This has been Mike Seibert Radio, and until next time, till all are one, make good choices.
Are you kidding me?
What? What's the problem?
I'm not working with him. He's not working with him!
Oh, come on, Mr. Prime. It's just a little 30-second spot.
Excuse me, do you know who I am? I'm Optimus Prime. I don't work with Decepticons.
He don't work with no Decepticons.
Oh, you're making a big fuss over nothing.
Oh.
We all have a job to do here. So, come on, just give it a go.
No. Why do I have to work with someone else now? I thought I was doing these by myself.
Optimus Prime, incompetent.
Shut up! See? This guy's a I'm not gonna work with him.
Optimus Prime, afraid.
Afraid? I'm not afraid of you. I'll kick your back to Cybertron. You got something to say?
Attention, director. Optimus Prime, afraid. Soundwave possesses superior skills for manipulating of sales, marketing, propaganda.
What's that supposed to mean?
Optimus Prime, jealous.
Aw, shut up! I'm not jealous. People like me. You're an uncharismatic bore.
Optimus Prime, overrated. Soundwave, superior.
You think you can do better than me? Let's go! Let's do it! Come
Okay, perfect. Here we
See
go.
how good you are.
Cameras rolling.
Move over a little.
Let's all get settled.
Decepticon.
And action.
Try to keep up. Hello, humans. It's me, Optimus Prime again, telling all you kids out there to...
Kids, look at this. This is Laserbeak. Laserbeak plus Energonos.
He's not allowed to use the bird.
Shh, let him go. I want to see where he goes with this.
Laserbeak makes Energonos are what you need. Isn't that right, Laserbeak?
Rah! I love it. I love the bird. Keep going.
You gotta be kidding me.
Energonos is my only greatness. Ingredients include sugar, modified cornstarch, corn syrup, dextrose, fructose, calcium carbonate, dry calcium phosphate, dry sodium phosphate.
Who cares?
Kilo
Yeah,
number
let's just
5,
stop right there if we could.
kilo number 6,
Mr. Soundwave?
number 1,
Mr. Soundwave?
number 40,
See what I mean?
zinc, iron,
He's a computer. He's not gonna stop.
Oh my.
pyridoxine, hydrochloride,
I can't really have that now, can we?
You wanna let me do this one by myself?
folic acid.
Okay, Mr. Soundwave, thank you. I think we have everything we need, so if you don't mind just exiting the stage, we can move on to the next setup.
Check.
Oh my! There, kitty. Nice kitty. Ah! Oh, bloody hell, my blasted...
Hey.
I can't breathe!
Call him off, Soundwave. What are you looking at? Ouch!
Someone, please! Help!
Ironhide! I'm on it, Prime! Come on, get off him! Stupid bird.
So you called Soundwave uncharismatic, huh?
Ow! Damn it! Get off my leg! Stop it!